2001. Man, what a year to be a Nintendo fan. Finally, Project Dolphin was in our hands. I remember opening that box and pulling out that purple cube with the handle for the very first time. A controller with 2 joysticks. Yes, damn it, the C-stick counted. There was a literal Game Boy Advance that attached to the bottom of the system and let you play your games on the big screen. Thanks to Nintendo, we had 4 controller ports included, unlike PlayStation. And now, a disc so small that it just had to be from Japan. Most of what Nintendo wanted to do would not yet be feasible until the Wii, but damn it, they tried. And they tried for us, the consumer. Originally, the GameCube was supposed to be the origin of motion controls of the home console, but sadly, the GameCube in all reality was only limited by the technology of its time, but thankfully not its library. The Nintendo GameCube holds such a special place in my heart for the amazing games that I've played and the memories made from them. And with this list, I wholeheartedly believe that these 10 games need to be played and are some of the greatest games ever, let alone on a Nintendo console. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Scumbag Steve, and if you would please, hit that like button and subscribe. It would really help us out, so we can make more of these for you. I hope you're sitting down, because we're going to jump right in it. Starting with... Number 10. Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2, Rogue Leader. Fast-paced flight sim that allows players to live through the eyes of rebel pilots and attempts to disband the Empire. Taking place alongside A New Hope and concluding in Empire Strikes Back, Rogue Leader launched on November 18, 2001, side by side with the Nintendo GameCube. The opening title screen is a joy to watch, as is common with all other LucasArts work on the GameCube. Gameplay starts after the mandatory opening title sequence straight into the iconic soundtrack as you fly over the top of the very first Death Star. Luke, alongside his squadron, under his leadership to be commanded, must destroy turrets to open up his opportunity for the vet shaft. During his strafing run, you are met with the iconic voice line from Obi-Wan. Use the Force, as Darth Vader tries to take you out of the sky. In the hangar, you are met with all of the other Rebel ships that you can occupy during your campaign at some point. There are also 5 bonus missions, 2 of which put you in control of Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon. 2 more missions have you play as Darth Vader himself on the opposing side. The final mission is the tech demo that Factor 5 produced for the Nintendo's Space World Trade Show in 2000. If you are a fellow nerf herder and love the lore of Star Wars, there is an art gallery and music hall for your enjoyment. Rogue Leader makes this list based off of its amazing gameplay, stellar graphics, passionate team, and iconic soundtrack. If you are a Star Wars fan, or even just a fan of flight sims, you must play this game. Number 9. Super Smash Bros. Melee. 2001 Nintendo crossover hits the shelves as the second installment in the series, featuring 25 flagship characters, music, stages, and trophies from Nintendo's rich history. Melee provides hours of fun in single player with modes such as Classic, Home Run Contest, and even character-specific modes like Target Test and Board the Platforms. Melee introduced Adventure Mode, which takes the player to several predefined universes of characters in the Nintendo franchise. All-Star Mode is an unlockable feature that requires the player to defeat every character in the game while having only 1 stock and 3 health supplements between battles. Multiplayer is where Melee really shines, whether it be against CPU that range in difficulty from 1 to 9, or against up to 4 players duking it out on screen. Trophies of various Nintendo characters and objects can be collected throughout the game. They range from well-known to obscure, and even characters or elements that were only released in Japan. Developed by HAL Laboratory, led by the legendary Masahiro Sakurai and the creator of Legend of Zelda and Mario, Shigeru Miyamoto, Melee provides both new and rearranged music as well as many live orchestral arrangements. As the best-selling GameCube game ever, there was never a doubt that it made this list. If you are a fan of Nintendo, this game will not disappoint you. You have no excuse. Play it. Number 8. In an ancient time, the evil mage Garm, using the power of the runestones, released a great evil upon the land. This demon, Scorn, broke free of Garm's control, crushing him and imprisoning his soul in the underworld. Scorn then released his minions upon the land and scattered the runestones across the 8 realms, so that they might never again be assembled and used against him. No one has dared try. Until now.
Any stated facts in the next segment are actually that of opinion, and as so, Scumbag Steve and Dirtbag Dewey take no liability for any disagreements with said alleged facts. Viewer discretion is advised.
Gauntlet Dark Legacy, the crowning achievement of human civilization, the peak of art as we know it, the 8th wonder of the world. Any naysayers shall henceforth be exiled from society. Dark Legacy was originally released to arcades in 1999. Being the 6th title in the Gauntlet series, it is an expansion of Gauntlet Legends. Dark Legacy adds 5 levels, 4 classes, and 9 secret unlockable characters. Dark Legacy adds the ability for 2 players standing adjacent to each other to perform a combination turbo attack together. In Dark Legacy, the player has the added abilities of blocking, charging, and strafing. The game is divided up into worlds, each containing a number of levels, all accessible from Summoner's Tower. The player's first objective is to beat all the levels, vanquishing the bosses from the 8 originally available worlds. The players must collect crystals scattered about the levels to deactivate Summoner's protective shielding and gain access to new worlds and more levels. The player must then collect 12 runestones from the 8 worlds. If you want to find out more, play the damn game already. What are you waiting for? This version is made for couch co-op. Grab some friends, choose your character, and slay away.
Nintendo.
Number 7. Eternal Darkness: Sanity's Requiem is a horror puzzle action game from Silicon Knights which plays closely to the likes of Resident Evil, with many unique twists. The game takes place over several different time periods and places as the main character reads from a mysterious book titled Tome of Eternal Darkness. You will discover places like Persia, Cambodia, France, and the main location from the game, a manor in Rhode Island where your grandfather has been brutally murdered. Visiting these locations throughout time with different characters, you'll uncover the many secrets you need to solve the murder of your grandfather. Be wary though, as the enemies you encounter will affect more than just your health bar. Here comes the title, Sanity's Requiem. As you encounter these enemies, your sanity meter will be lowered. The lower this bar gets, well, you start to hallucinate more and more. This can cause some strange side effects on the game, between your character shouting nonsense at the screen to it appearing as if your GameCube has just crashed. You never know what might happen next. All in all, this is a fantastic story with some great gameplay mechanics, like its unique aiming system. I'd say this is a must-have for your shelf, being that you can find it, that is. Number 6. Star Fox Adventures. A 2002 action game developed by Rare and published by Nintendo. Originally developed as Dinosaur Planet as one of the last releases for the Nintendo 64. Nintendo producer Shigeru Miyamoto convinced Rare to redesign the game for the GameCube as part of the Star Fox franchise. Rare's only GameCube game, and final game that Rare developed for a home Nintendo console before being acquired by Microsoft. The game's story takes place 8 years after the events of Star Fox 64, in which players take control of Fox McCloud, who is sent on a mission to visit a planet in the Lylat system to prevent its destruction. Star Fox Adventures features both the established main characters of the Star Fox series, Fox, Falco, Slippy, Peppy, as well as a host of new characters, including a mysterious blue fox named Crystal and a small dinosaur, Prince Tricky. The entire planet is populated with dinosaurs, like the tyrannical general scales and other prehistoric animals such as mammoths. The game's story focuses on 2 different styles of gameplay, which the player switches between various points. The first style of gameplay is Adventure Mode, which is the main mode, and and operates in a similar manner to that of the Legend of Zelda series, especially Ocarina of Time. The second style of gameplay is R-Ring mode, and features in a similar manner to that and other games of the Star Fox series. This game was a beautiful swan song for Rare, one of my favorite games on the Cube of all time. Do not sleep on this one, you will probably regret it. Number 5. Metroid Prime 1 and 2 are being lumped together for the sole reason that once you complete 1, you will be dying to play Echoes. Metroid Prime is an action-adventure game developed by Retro Studios and published by Nintendo for the GameCube. Metroid Prime is the 5th main installment in the Metroid franchise and the first game in the series to use 3D computer graphics and a first-person perspective. Since exploration takes precedence over combat, Nintendo classifies this game as a first-person adventure rather than a first-person shooter. Metroid Prime has a science fiction setting in which players control the bounty hunter and series protagonist Samus Aran. Metroid Prime is the first game in the Metroid Prime saga, which takes place between the original Metroid and Metroid 2: Return of Samus. The game garnered critical praise and commercial success, selling more than 1 million units in North America alone. It would go on to win a number of Game of the Year awards and is regarded by many critics and gamers to be one of the greatest video games ever made. Throughout the game, players must find and collect items that improve Samus' arsenal and suit, including weapons, armor upgrades for Samus' power suit, and items that grant abilities, including the Morph Ball, which allows Samus to compress herself into a ball in order to roll into narrow passages and drop energy bombs. The Grapple Beam, which works by latching onto special hooks called grapple points, allowing Samus to swing across gaps. Unlike those in earlier games in the series, the beam weapons in Metroid Prime have no stacking ability, in which the traits of each beam merge. Instead, the player must cycle the 4 beam weapons. There are charge combos with radically different effects for each. Other upgrades include boots that allow Samus to double jump and a spider ball upgrade that allows her to climb magnetic rails. According to producer Shigeru Miyamoto, Nintendo did not develop a Metroid game for the Nintendo 64 as the company could not come out with any concrete ideas. Metroid co-creator Yoshio Sakamoto said he could not imagine how the N64 controller could be used to control Samus. Nintendo approached another company to make an N64 Metroid, but the offer was declined, supposedly because the developers thought that they could not equal Super Metroid. The GameCube is my favorite way to play these games. That being said, it works really well on the Wii, and it should not be discouraging if that is the version that you can get your hands on. Metroid Prime is great proof of how well games were brought to the 3D era. Prime is beautiful, exciting, and a joy to experience. If you have this in your backlog, or are looking for an amazing game to sink into, look no further. Number 4. The second best-selling GameCube game of all time, Mario Kart Double Dash. Or shall I pronounce it like it's spelled? Headphone users be warned. Mario Kart Double Dash! Because 2 exclamation marks make it cool. Still to this day, the first and only Mario Kart game to allow 2 racers on a single kart. Sadly, this is basically the only thing that makes this installment unique. That's not to say that this isn't an amazing game, because it for sure is. Double Dash supports LAN play using the broadband adapter, allowing up to 16 players to compete simultaneously. There are 20 characters to select in total, each of which came with their own special item, and with 11 characters being new to the series, it should also be noted that this is the very first time that Toadette has appeared. A special edition of the game was also released, which included a bonus disc containing playable demos for F-Zero GX, Mario Party 5, Sonic Heroes, Star Wars Rogue Squadron 3, Rebel Strike, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It also included video trailers for Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, 1080 Avalanche, Pokemon Colosseum, Kirby, Right Back At Ya TV series, Kirby Air Ride, Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, and NBA Live 2004. Total running time is 8 minutes 35 seconds, and it also would include bonus content for Fire Emblem The Blazing Blade on the Game Boy Advance, which requires a Game Boy Advance link cable. The game's soundtrack was composed by Super Mario Sunshine composer Shinobu Tanaka and Mario Kart 64 composer Kenta Nagata. Double Dash is a fantastic single-player and multiplayer experience, and in fact is my favorite Mario Kart to date. The graphics hold up to today and are accompanied by a perfect soundtrack. Dust off that old GameCube and fire up this gem, and I dare you to try to tell me you didn't have a good time. Number 3. August 15th, 2005. The second GameCube game published by Nintendo to receive an M rating from the ESRB. Geist is a first-person shooter action-adventure. The game is divided into levels, which in turn are divided into stages. Each level starts with a cutscene and has one or more boss fights. As a disembodied spirit, the player cannot interact with the physical world, except through possession. Gravity still affects you though. You can float and elevate yourself for short periods of time, but you cannot pass through solid walls. If a host is killed or destroyed, the player is unharmed and returns to the player's ethereal state. However, you cannot remain outside a host indefinitely. Your spirit is continuously pulled towards the afterlife. The abilities of hosts differ. The most noticeable is the way the world is seen through the eyes of the host. For instance, most animals see the world in several shades of gray, while imps have binocular-shaped sight. Geist even has multiplayer. There are 3 core multiplayer modes: Possession Deathmatch, Capture the Host, and Hunt. In Possession Deathmatch, players start off as ghosts and are invulnerable until they possess a host, where it then plays as a typical deathmatch. In Capture the Host, players must kill opponents and deliver their hosts to their respective bases. In Hunt, players either participate as ghost or host. Hosts try to kill ghosts with special weapons, while ghosts try to make the host commit suicide. Power-ups are also available, being able to be adjusted in the game settings. Additional characters and maps can also be unlocked by finding collectibles in the story mode. Geist is a thrill to play. I love the creepiness of its characters in the ethereal world. It has great puzzle solving and mechanics that you wouldn't expect. Also, the game is rich with cutscenes and an engaging soundtrack. Geist is one that should be on every GameCube fan's radar. Happy hunting though, because I doubt anyone is willing to let this one go for cheap. Number 2. Pokemon Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness. Again, I will be putting these games into a joint entry because one is a complete extension of the other. These games are based in the Ore region and follow protagonists that capture shadow Pokemon, trying to purify their otherwise closed-off hearts. These games both have functionality attached to the mainline games on the Game Boy Advance that allow players to trade purified Pokemon to them. There are 48 Shadow Pokemon in Colosseum and 83 in Gale of Darkness. In Gale of Darkness, you can also capture 9 non-Shadow, more common Pokemon from Pokespots, which require bait that can be purchased at a shop. All 9 species can then be traded for rare Pokemon. Fun fact, if you were to play Colosseum and transfer a Sword or Shield compatible Pokemon, it is the absolute furthest a Pokemon can be transferred to the current gen, and with it comes ribbons attached to said Pokemon that are not obtainable anywhere else legitimately. Both games follow a well-written story and can provide challenge to even the most experienced players. Both feature a zone called Mount Battle, which is a 100 trainer challenge split into 10 zones with a rest area in between. Colosseum and Gale of Darkness are host to some of the best tunes in the Pokemon universe. I highly recommend these games to any Pokemon fan, or even just anyone who loves turn-based RPGs. I hate to spoil this for you, but no, Purified Lugia is no longer black. I know, it's tragic, but at least you get to listen to the Pyrite Town song with the smooth jazz as you cry yourself to sleep. Number 1. The last first-party Nintendo game to grace the Cube, and the 13th installment in the series. The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess is an action-adventure game focused on combat, exploration, and puzzle solving. It uses the basic control scheme introduced in Ocarina of Time, including context-sensitive action buttons and L targeting. The story focuses on series protagonist Link. Shocker, I know, Link can walk, run, and attack, and will automatically jump when running off or reaching for a ledge. Link uses a sword and shield in combat, complemented with secondary weapons and items, including a bow and arrow, a boomerang, and bombs. Link tries to prevent Hyrule from being engulfed by a corrupted parallel dimension known as the Twilight Realm. To do so, he takes the form of both a Hylian and a wolf, and he is assisted by a mysterious creature named Midna. The game takes place hundreds of years after Ocarina of Time in between Majora's Mask and Four Swords Adventures in an alternate timeline from The Wind Waker. Twilight Princess was critically acclaimed upon release and has been widely regarded as one of the greatest video games of all time. It was praised for its world design, art direction, and departure in tone from other games in the franchise. Not to mention, this is the way to play it without the Wii's motion controls. Unique to the GameCube version is the ability for the player to control the camera freely, without entering a special look-around mode required by the Wii. However, in the GameCube version, only 2 of Link's secondary weapons can be equipped at a time, as opposed to the 4 on the Wii version. I don't even need to mention the score on this one. It's The Legend of Zelda. You know it's great. The game still looks great, and the dark overtone is a welcome change in my book. If you can find this at a reasonable price, it is a must-have for any collection. And those are 10 great games that I think everybody should play, own, enjoy on the GameCube. Do any of these games make your list? Are there any games that you think that I need to play? Hit me up in the comments. I would love to try them. And who knows, maybe they'll be on my next 10. I've been Scumbag Steve. Thank you for listening. If you would please, if you haven't yet, hit that like button and subscribe. We've got much more content coming for you. I'd love to make more of these.